is the part 8 of the technical workshop series for Microsoft Student Accelerator for ANZ region. And this series is about building digital solutions with Power Platform. And you can watch all the previous recordings on Michelle's YouTube channel. And today I'm going to take you through how to build a Power Platform solution and set up Power Platform pipelines, and then use the Power Platform pipelines to deploy the solution to a different environment. So before we go into the actions, taking you through setting up the pipelines, etc. First, I'll quickly talk about low-code development. So Power Platform is a low-code platform. And so what is the low-code development? Low-code development is, compared to the traditional pro-code development, you write code, you write a particular program language like JavaScript, C# or Python, right? And then you either compile that implementation, your code, or run your code in a particular environment for your implementation. And one of the challenges of that is the bar is a bit high, right? It requires learning the program language, or when it actually comes to building digital solutions, you may even need to understand from the project management or the software engineering perspective, and also you will need to understand all sorts of programming languages and libraries, etc. Right? So low-code development is kind of try to address that challenge so that you can use the low-code development platform to build your solution without or with less coding. And obviously that gives a few benefits, right? First of all, the development process is very visualized and simple to use and simple to follow. And also the local development is trying to help you to deliver your solutions in more rapidly. And also because of that, it gives you the the benefits of cost saving, and also the because you now don't actually need to understand those program language, etc. Now it becomes more accessible for everyone. Even for people without a strong technical background or learning the language, program language. And Gartner predicted that by 2026, more than 80% of the local developers will be outside formal IT departments, which means, non-technical people, more and more non-technical people will be using the low-code development to build solutions, right? So that's exactly, to the point, it'll become more accessible for everyone. And also, Gartner also predict that 70% of new apps developed by enterprises will use low-code or no-code technologies by 2025. So more and more people will be using low-code development for building digital solutions or enterprise applications, right? So that also helps to accelerate digital transformation in the organizations. So Microsoft Power Platform is a Microsoft implementation of low-code development. So it is the world's most complete set of integrated low-code development tools that powered by AI. So it comes with a few products, including Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, Copilot Studio, and Power BI. So with Power Apps, you can develop or build web and mobile mobile applications. And with Power Automate, you can build a process to automate your workflows. And with Power Pages, you can build external-facing business websites. And Copilot Studio, you can use it to build your chatbots, your copilots, so that it has this capability to have a conversation with the user. And what's more exciting is that it's powered by the GPT models, the latest GPT models. And Power BI, you can use it to build reports. And so these are the main products from Power Platform. And also there are some key components, including connectors. Connector is a wrap of API. So API is an interface from the programming language perspective, or pro-code development perspective. API is an interface for you to invoke from your application or your system to interact with another system, right? So often you need to write code to implement that. However, in Power Platform, there are more than 1,200 out-of-box connectors. And a connector is just a wrapper of a API, but in a very user-friendly way. So in Power Platform, you can simply use it in a very easy way to interact with other systems. To give you an example, there is a connector called Office 365 Outlook. With that connector, in your application, for example, you can simply build a workflow, build a Power Automate flow, and use that connector to send out an email. And you don't even need to know what is the API, what is the definition, I know what is the payload I should send. And I'll actually demo that in today's session. So that's from the user perspective, it's very easy to use, and it helps to save a lot of times when it comes to implementing the integration between other systems. And then this AI Builder component is a low-code way for you to access some of the Azure AI capabilities. For example, there are in AI Builder, there are some pre-built or out-of-box models that you can use to extract details from a document, a picture, for example, a receipt or an invoice. And you can also build your own model to extract details from a file scan, for example, a purchase order. And then you can extract the details and then save the details into a database. You can also access the prompt in AI Builder. You can choose which large language model you want to use, for example, GPT 3.5 or GPT-4, etc. And Microsoft Dataverse is a low-code data platform. In Power Platform, it's really it's backed by a database, but it's more than that. It works really well within the Power Platform ecosystem. And Power FX is a kind of a programming language for you to write expressions in a more advanced scenario. And also there is this Copilot component, is that you can use it to help you, to assist you to build Power Apps or automate flows, or Power Pages, Copilot Studio, Copilots, or Power BI reports. For example, you can simply in the Power BI, you can simply use Copilot to describe what you want, what kind of reports you want to build, and you actually build the reports for you, and then you can continue to optimize, update that report in a conversation with the Copilot. So that's really, if we have a look at the purpose of the low code, it's or benefits is that it makes it more accessible for others, especially people without technical background. Right now, with this Copilot, it'll even become more accessible for others. So next, I'm going to do a demo um, for today's session. And if you haven't attended the previous seven parts of this series, we talked a lot about the Power Platform, including how to create a Power Apps, how to create Power Automate flows, and how to create a Copilot, etc. Right? So if you haven't, please go there, go to the YouTube channel and have a look and watch them. And I'll paste the URL in the chat later sometime in this session as well. But for today, the session, our focus will be, I'll show you how to quickly build a very simple solution, and then how to deploy, and then how we can use set up a Power Platform pipelines for the deployment instead of the manual process, right? So first, I'm going to show you how to build a solution and create a Power Automate flow. Use the Office 365 Outlook connector to do some things, and then I'll create a Canvas app with a button to invoke that Power Automate Cloud Flow as well. And during the session, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand in Teams or come off mute, or type it in the chat. So in my browser, I'll go to apps.com. So this is the Power Apps Maker portal. So this is where you can build Power Platform solutions, including Power Apps, Power Automate flows, etc. And so I'll go to the solution. First, I'll create a solution. Let's just say MSA demo solution. That's for today. And so it gives me a unique name, but also it asks me to choose a publisher. So a publisher is a way to identify your solution yourself or your team. So basically, it's a identifier. And by default, there are always two publishers. CDS default publisher identifies the environment, which means each environment has a publisher defined. And default publisher for org, so this is the publisher to represent the whole organization. So which means there's only one for the whole organization. And normally I prefer to create my own publisher. For example, I'll create one to represent myself. And then with a prefix of SZ. And in the actual development, I may create a publisher to represent my team. For example, a particular development team. That's what we are building for the solution. And so as you can see with the prefix, the objects or resources created within the solution will have such a prefix. So that's a way to identify or differentiate from others. So I'll save that. And now I'll choose the publisher I just created. And now it is going into the solution I have just created. As you can see, it's empty. So basically, solution is a very important concept in Power Platform, right? So if you if I come back to the Power Apps Make portal, and if you have a look, the menus on the left side, you can create app here without creating a solution. You can create a table, database table without creating a solution. You can create a flow without a solution as well. However, solution, when it comes to deployment to different environment, a solution is a very good way to organize that. So solution basically is like a logic folder for your Power Platform resources. What that means is that in a solution, you can create Power Platform resources or components within the solution. You can also add, components or resources that already exist or included in other solutions. For example, a Power App or Flow. So which means the solution is just simply a logical folder to group things to help you to manage the Power Platform resources. Okay, so now first I'm going to create a flow. So to do that, I'll click New and I'll click select Automation and Cloud Flow. And there are three types of cloud flow you can create: automated, instant, scheduled. Automated cloud flow is, the flow will be triggered by a certain event. For example, you can pick up the event, or you can configure the flow to be triggered when an email arrives in your email box. So that's an event, and when that happens, your flow will be triggered. And or when there is a item added or created in a particular SharePoint list, your flow will be triggered. So that's automated. So it's triggered when something happens. And instant is, your flow is only triggered when it's manually triggered by someone, from somewhere. So you can either trigger the flow directly or from a Power Apps. And what I'm going to use is the instant, because eventually I want to trigger this flow from a Canvas app when I click a button. So the schedule is you can define, when the flow is triggered and how frequently it is, right? So just like every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, post time, etc. Right? And so I'll select instant. So there are two triggers you can see from here: manually trigger a flow, and when Power Apps calls a flow. That's what I want to use. So and it's a demo flow. I'll just say like that. Now, what I wanted to do is, in this very, very simple flow, I'll simply send a email to myself. So the first of all, I'll add a action, and in the action, I'll choose the connector called the Office 365 Outlook. And in this one, there are a list of actions I can choose from. And what I want to do is send myself an email. So I'll choose send an email v2 version. So once, as you can see, this is really straightforward to use. It just like I'm writing an email in Outlook, right? What is the email address? What's the subject? What's the body? And so I'll simply search myself, and you can also pass the email from outside by using like dynamic content, right? So you can you can define the input from here. For example, the email address, then you can pass the email from outside. But in this simple example, this demo, I'll just simply send it to myself. So I'll say this is a demo email sent boys, just a demo email, okay? It's just demo email subject. This is a demo email, and let's just say this is a demo email, okay? And that's all. I can also send myself a Teams message as well. So to do that, I will, okay, it's saving the flow now. Let's wait for it to finish the save. Okay, now I'll add a new step. As I said, I'm going to send myself a Teams message. And to do that, I'll search the connector called the Microsoft Teams. And so with this connector, I can choose the, there should be a action called post messages, right? That's what I want to use. And as you can see, there are quite a few other actions you can use as well. So I'll choose a, with a chat with the workflow. And now it's asking me to provide more details. Who is going to receive the message? Again, I'll simply search myself, and that message should appear in my Teams chat when I receive that message. So this is a demo message sent by the flow. Okay, save that. Now I'll do a quick test, just making sure the flow works as expected. So to do that, simply click the test on the top right corner and follow the steps. Now the flow is running and successfully. So I should be able to receive an email and also a Teams message. So let me check by email. So as you can see, I have received the email, and then let's have a look at the Teams message. Okay, cool. So this is the message. This is a demo message sent by the flow. That's, the flow works as expected. So now, if I go back to the flow, to the solution, you can see there are a few components or objects are created or added in the solution. Now, next, I'll create a very simple Canvas app. To do that, I'll new an app and then pick Canvas app. It's MSA demo app. Okay, I'll pick the name and I'll choose the font layout, right? So again, today's session is more about how you can deploy your solutions to different environment. It's not about how to build apps or flows. So the apps and the flows itself is really, really simple. Okay, so to do that, first of all, I'll insert a container. Here, I'll insert a container, and in the container, I'll insert a text. So the text should be the um, MSA demo app. I'll just put a very simple title and I'll align it in the center and I will increase the font size, let's just say to 48, and also I'll give it a the background color to, let's just say, a purple one, and I'll just change the label color to let's just say to white. Okay, and then now I'll add a button. In the button, I'll invoke that flow. So to do that, I'll add a button here, and I'll make the button a bit larger. And to do that, first I'll give a text click to send email. Okay, and then I will increase the size to, let's just say, 200, and then let's just say 60, and the font size to be, let's just say, keep it 24. Okay, and I'll make it larger. The line in the middle, and then also I'll choose a different color palette. Okay, I'll just choose this one. So in line with the header color, I just choose it. Okay, and then now I'll on the left side of the menu, there is one called the Power Automate, and I'll add a flow. So as you can see, that's the MSA demo flow I have created. And once added, then now I'll click or select this button in the Canvas app. And on the top left corner, as you can see, there is this on select event. So which means it'll happen when the button is clicked. And then in the on the bar, I'll start typing the MS demo flow. So that's the flow run, right? So this is how you can invoke your flow. The flow is called MSA demo flow. You simply just type and then don't run, and then this will trigger that. And I'll save that, and I'll do a quick test as well. Now, while it's saving, okay, actually it's saved now. I'll click the play button to quickly test that. So I'll click send email, and now let's have a look. Now it's actually the email received, which means the flow was triggered. And also I'll check the message is received as well. So okay, cool, that's all good. The flow and the apps, the Canvas app now work as expected. So as you can see, just in a sec, you should see that app appear as well. Now you can see this is the app, this is the flow. And so, that's kind of, from the development perspective, this is what I need to do. And, if you are happy with only one environment, you can then start sharing your app to others. However, in the actual development process, is a is one of those best practices that you use different environments for different purpose, right? So in this case, as you can see, I'm using the development environment for development. And once I am happy with what I have developed, I then would like to deploy the solution to a test environment, right? So in that case, then my testers can start testing what I have done. And while they're testing, I can continue my development in the development environment. So this way, we don't interact and we don't impact each other, right? And also after that, after the testing, if everything is okay and no bugs found or the bugs have been fixed, then I wanted to deploy to the production environment so that I can actually share my implementations, my apps, my flows to end users. So in that case, I'll deploy that to production, and then I can continue doing my development in the development environment, and my testers can continue their testing in the test environment, while the end users they can continue using the production version without any interrupting, right? So that's kind of the best practices. You use different stages, different environments for different purpose for the same solution or same project, right? And so now, when it comes to Power Platform solutions, there are different ways. There are a few ways for to deploy your solution. For example, the very basic one is the manual way. You can simply in the solution list view, you can simply choose your solution and then click export solution, and then you follow the steps, and you can download the solution package as a zip file. And then you can switch to the test environment and then import that solution by choosing the zip file just downloaded. So that's kind of a manual way to do that. And it's kind of a very repeated process. And also sometimes you need to switch to different environments, and it's kind of if you can automate this process, that would be that'll be better, isn't it? So to do that, you can go to your solution. So for example, this MSA demo solution, and if I go to this pipelines, right? So there is this thing called the Power Platform pipelines, and here you can see there's no pipeline defined yet, right? So if I click this drop down, there's nothing there. So which means there's no pipeline has been defined for this environment. And I can simply create a pipeline, and then I'll give the pipeline name. Let's just say, a personal demo pipeline, right? And then I can provide a bit description, and I can choose the target environment. And because this is from the development environment, and I want to deploy to test environment, in that case, I'll choose test and save that. So once it's saved, as you can see now, the pipeline is appearing in the drop-down list. And also I can see there is this button deploy here, and that's the test environment. I can also add another stage because eventually I wanted to deploy from development environment to test environment, then production environment, right? So for that, I'll add a stage called production, and then I'll choose production environment. So now I have the 3 environments lined up here, and I can simply click deploy here. And once the solution is deployed to test environment, and I can click deploy here in the production one, and that will deploy the package to production environment as well. And so this is kind of the default pipeline host, which doesn't require Power Platform administrator setup. You can set up yourself as long as you have the access to the target environments. In this case, test environment and the production environment, right? And so this is kind of personal one. It's also called a default hosted pipelines. And there is another way, or more kind of a more organized way to set up a pipeline, which means it's called a custom host. So to do that, first I'll delete this pipeline because I'm going to set up a different one. And so there's no pipeline now, and I have prepared an environment called host. So in the host environment, there is this pre-installed, I have pre-installed a solution called the app deployment model app. And there is a model-driven app. If I launch the model-driven app, I can set up the pipelines here as a Power Platform admin or Power Platform pipelines admin, right? So first of all, I'll, so you can see here it's all empty, right? So I will, first of all, I need to edit the environments here. I need to register my environments or link my environments here. So to do that, I'll simply click New. And this is the DEV environment, and this is the development environment. And environment ID are how you can find the environment ID. If you switch to the development environment here, and you can simply copy or find the ID from the URL, right? You can also find from, if you click the settings icon, and there is this session details. And then you will be able to see the environment ID from here, right? So there are a few ways to do that. And then I'll copy the ID here and save and close. And for the same thing, I'll add or register the environment for test. And now this is target environment. This is not the development environment, right? So the same thing, I'll get the environment ID from the URL here. Save and then close. And finally, production one. Environment type is target environment, and environment ID is environment ID, save and close. Okay, now I have registered and added all the environments here. I will go on to create my pipeline. Okay, so I'll give it a name called, let's just say MSA demo pipeline, and I'll click save. Now, once I saved it, it'll show two more sections. Let me add or link the development environment and the deployment stages. So since I have already added the environment, so I'll add existing development environment, I'll click the environment, and then I will create new deployment stages here. So this is for the test. So I will link, because this is this is the first deployment target environment, so there's no previous deployment stage. So I'll leave that empty, and then I'll choose the target deployment environment as test, because this is the environment I wanted to deploy next, right? So once I've done that, then I'll add the production one as well. So that name should be production. So this is the deployment stage. And then the previous deployment stage should be test because that's from test to production, right? And the target environment should be the production environment. I'll save and close, right? Okay, so once I have saved that, this is the demo MSA demo pipeline I have created. So now if I switch back to my solution in development environment, and if I go to the MSA demo solution, and if I go to the pipelines, I should be able to see the pipeline I have just created here. If I refresh everything, manage pipelines, let me double check. Pipelines. So this is the default environment pipeline. I think it's probably because I have these ones. So let me delete everything here. So this is the default pipeline host. And so this one is the custom one I defined here. So let me just double check everything here. So this failed, as you can see. I think it's because it had the environment defined or linked in the default one. That's what I created before. So let me see if how I can get it back. So if I do deactivate to deployment, I'll deactivate and then see if I can activate again and see if that helps. Okay, so save and close. How can I recheck the one that's kind of, yeah, right. So in that case, I will delete it and I'll try to add again, see if that helps. Okay, because it has a pipeline linked, so I'll delete the pipeline as well. That's a bit unexpected. I should have deleted the environment first. So delete. So you must select one more records before you can perform. Okay, so I think that's okay. That's deleted. I'll delete the environments here. So now I'll try it again and see if that works. So the environment type, and again, I'll choose the copy the environment ID here and save. And let's see the validation status. Let's see if that's okay. Cool. Now it succeeded. So that was because the environment was linked to the default pipeline host, because I created a personal one previously, and now I'm creating a customer one. And so because it was linked to the default pipeline host, so the customer one I created failed. So now I just do it again after I deleted the default ones. So again, I will get the IDs here. I'll save that, and let's see. That succeeded. Okay. Right. Again, production environment type is target environment, and again, I will get the production environment ID from the URL. And I'll save and close. And then okay, all three have succeeded. Then I'll create that pipeline again. Demo pipeline. Okay, save. I'll just quickly link the not that one. Yes, that's right. That's the div one, and then I'll add the deployment stage. This is the test environment, save and close, and then also I'll add the production, and the previous deployment stage is test, and the target environment is production. Save and close. Okay, now I have created the pipeline. So if I go back to the solution again, now this time I should be able to see the pipeline I have just created. As you can see now, it's appeared and it's MSA demo pipeline. That's the custom pipeline I have created. So now if I simply click deploy and follow the steps, then I can deploy my solution from the development environment to the target environment straight away. I don't need to switch to a different environment to do that. So now it's just doing a bit of a validation, and so once it's it tries to validate the connections required and also make sure the required connections are established. As you can see, it uses two connections, the Outlook and the Teams ones. And now I can put some deployment nodes here as well. I'm happy with that, and just click deploy. So now it starts to deploy the package or the solution from my development environment to the test environment. Right, so while it's deploying, it'll take a few minutes. While it's deploying, I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions from the audience. I'll actually ask anyone in the audience, has anyone built any Power Apps before? Can you please give me a reaction or come off mute if you have done so?
No, sorry, Stefan.
Okay, that's all good. So you can definitely watch the previous series recording to know more about how to build a Power App and how to build a Power Automate flows, etc. And so this Power Platform pipelines is more from a deployment process, right? So as I said before, without this pipeline, you will have to manually export the solution, download the package, and then switch to a different environment, and then manually import the solution again, right? So it's a very manual process, and you every time you need to deploy, you have to do it again and again, right? Now with this pipeline, it's very easy, very straightforward. You just, once the pipeline has set up, you simply click, or you can choose which pipeline you want to deploy, and then you simply click deploy here. Okay, cool. Now it has deployed, and I'll quickly check the test environment. And before I do that, I'll also deploy to production as well, so we can let it deploy while we check the deployments in the test environment. So it's also checking the connections, a few things, etc. It also needs to make sure there are collections established in the target environment as well. So I'll just deploy that. And also, as I mentioned before, you can have multiple pipelines. For example, you can define more than one pipeline or another pipeline to be associated with your development environment. but in that pipeline, instead of deploying to the test and production, you may want to deploy to a different environment, right? So in that case, you can simply switch to that particular pipeline or different pipeline and deploy your solution to a different environment defined in that pipeline, right? Okay, now let's go to the test environment and let's have a look what has been deployed and see if everything is there. So now I have switched to the test environment. So environment is a very important concept in Power Platform as well. So environment basically is like a, let's just say in SharePoint, you have SharePoint site, right? In the SharePoint site, you have you can have the web pages, you can have the SharePoint list, you can have the folders, etc. So environment is a bit like that. It's separated from each other, and within the environment, you can define what resources, like you can create Power Apps, you can create a Power Flow, and also you can control the user access, just like a SharePoint site, right? So it's a very good way to isolate your resources for different purposes, right? So now in the test environment, if I go to the solutions, and if I go to managed, here we go, there is the NSA demo solution I have just deployed, and you can also see that version number as well. So in the solution, I should be able to see all the components I have created, right, including the app. So now if I select this app, and if I launch this app and click that button, click allow, click send email, I should be able to receive an email from and a message as well. So now I have received a new email. So somehow this is a failed. I'm not sure what's maybe there's a bit of a configuration issue in my environment. But nonetheless, the email has been sent out. It's just they couldn't be delivered, and also the message has been sent out as well. So if we switch back, it's also just deployed to production as well. And this is how you can use the pipeline to deploy. And it's another very useful feature is that if you use, there is a thing called environment variable. You can have a different environment, you can have the same environment variable, but with different values for different environment, right? So for example, I'm not going to demo how to do it, just conscious about the time, but I'll just quickly mention here. With that environment variable, you can define, let's just say the test environment has the value test, and the development environment has the value of development. And then I can use that environment variable in my solution, in my flow, so that when the email is sent out, I can actually show that value in the object, in the subject, or in the body, so that I know this email is sent from the development environment or from the test environment, right? So sometimes we're doing test, sometimes we're doing development, and when both are happening, sometimes it's good. It's useful to know where it is from instead of trying to figure out, it is the email I sent out to the development, or actually someone else is doing a test from a different environment. So that's one of the use cases. So that's the pipeline, Power Platform pipeline. As you can see, it's really simple and straightforward. And also another thing is that a good thing about that pipeline is that if I switch back to that pipeline definition, it has all the run history here. As you can see, this is the run deployment to test, and this is the deployment to production. And also, if I go to the solution artifacts, it also shows me that the artifact the solution package I have deployed, each of the version. And for this, in this particular case, only version 1.0.0.1 has been deployed. And thereby, there are two packages I can download. One is the managed one, one is the unmanaged one. So the managed one is very like a compiled binaries you deploy to the target environment like test or production. And the purpose is for deployment, is not for development. And but if you need to set up another environment with a particular version and you want to add some more features or want to fix bug, you can use download and import this unmanaged solution package. Right? So that's the one of the useful things when it comes to Power Platform pipelines. As you can see, it also has all the run histories, and there are other things that you can customize as well. For example, when a deployment fails, you can send out a notification, or when the deployment is completed, you can send out notification. You can do those kind of customization as well. So that's pretty much today's content. And I'll take a pause and see if there are any questions from the from the audience. And if you haven't, tried the Power Platform or Power Apps, please sign up for the Power Apps Developer Plan using your university's, the account provided by your university. And that's for free, and you can pretty much do everything you want. It has quite a lot of features you can try. And I'll paste the link in the chat as well. And you can also, there is a very good place called Microsoft Learn, right? And there are a lot of things you can do, or you can learn from that that website. Is called learn.microsoft.com. You can search Power Apps, you can search Power Automate Flow. It has a very rich content there. And there are many other materials or content for you to learn. If you want, you simply search Power Apps or Power Automate Flow online. You should be able to find a lot of content. And also remember to check the previous recording as well. So that's the today's session, and thank you very much for attending to the session. I am Stephen Zeng, a cloud solution architect from Microsoft, and I am based in Perth, Western Australia. And please feel free to connect to me in my LinkedIn. And otherwise, thank you again for your time, and have a good day.